Hi there. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Follow Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Erwin Wils. I'm a mindset and business strategist and founder of Millionaire Life Strategy. In this podcast, I'm interviewing my clients and other entrepreneurs that are following their passion and make a good living out of it. When you want to know more about me or what I can do for you, check out my website, millionaireLifestrategy.com. But first, check out this episode of Follow Your Passion. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of the Follow Your Passion podcast. I always say that people are much more capable than they give themselves credit for. And that's why I'm so happy to introduce my guest of today. Her name is Tiffony Jacobs. Tiffany had a very troubled youth, I would say. She had a father that was addicted to drugs and alcohol, which led to some abusive behavior. And she actually became homeless and she didn't have anything to do. Yet, if you look at her now, teaching people to financial literacy and helping them to get out of the bottom, so to speak, it's great. She has been a part of the Freedom Writers Diary. And it has been filmed actually by Hilary Swank and Patrick Dempsey, I think. And she has a lot of experience and wisdom, and I'm very happy to have her here. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you, Erwin. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. So, Tiffany, about the Freedom Writers. You were very grateful for your teacher that taught you about the Holocaust and how people survived in these very bad situations. How did that impact you?
When you hear someone else's story and it's just as or even more traumatic as yours, you have, at least for me, I had a wake-up call. I saw a light at the end of a very dark tunnel after hearing Renee Firestone, share her story, or Mel Mermenstein tell his story, or just so many different Holocaust survivors that said they trekked through snow with no shoes and saw their families get assassinated in front of them, and just so much turmoil and pain and just sorrow and sadness. And, when we thought about, at least for me as a freedom writer, what was going on in my household, feeling like there was a totalitarian in the house and dictating, every moves and issuing out punishment. And, I felt a similarity in the pain that they were feeling, but I realized they made it out. After all these years later, they recreated their lives after being starved and tortured and displaced. And that was what I was feeling growing up. So I realized, I'm in a moment in time. Being in high school, it's just a moment in time. And if I could get through that moment and get to where I can make my own decisions and create the world and environment that I want to live safely and peacefully, then, I just have to get through school. I just have to get these grades in. I just have to keep my head down and make sure that I'm doing what I need to do so that I make it to the next level. And so for me, I could have just been a statistic. Just some girl, get with some guy, work at McDonald's, just go through the motions and have another life like my mom had. And I refused to be that girl. And so especially hearing these amazing people saying that they got out of such a war-torn war zone and into a life where they were thriving, they were laughing, they had children of their own and businesses, and they had a life. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that type of freedom for myself. And so it was definitely a wake-up call. It was, the light bulb went up and I just said, you know what? I'm about to graduate. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to live on my own. And I started to, when you write down your goals, you more likely are going to achieve them. And so I started to want to see what type of life did I want? Because when you're going and just in a household full of drama and struggle and pain and just drama all the time, it's hard to think, wow, what does Tiffany want to do when she gets out of high school? I'm just going to classes. I'm just getting through the motions of a day, trying to wonder what I'm going to eat when I get home. And so it made me be more specific on, the type of person I wanted to be and the type of life I wanted to live and the type of goals I wanted to achieve, and realize that no man or anything come into my life is going to deter that for me.
Nice. And writing this the diary, that was also, you probably heard about the diary of Anne Frank, the Dutch girl during the World War II. Did you all, because you were not the only one, right? You had a lot of classmates in class that also were impacted by the Holocaust and starting to write the diaries.
Yes.
Did they all have such dreams like you had and such goals?
I think because of we were in a bubble of learning with our teacher. And so to really get to know each other's lives and stories, you tap into your heart and your mind of the classmate next to you, who you don't realize, wow, you guys don't have food in your refrigerator either, or wow, your dad hits your mom too, or you make a connection, and then you're able to dream together and say, what is it that you want for the future? Because that was the atmosphere of how are we going to change? How are we not going to be that statistic that we keep seeing on the news? And so for us, that when you have that energy of just wanting to dream and achieve, then everyone, has that heart. And Aaron Gruel didn't let you get by without, participating. So, we got to really get to know each other and really get to see that, wow, someone wants to be a baseball player. And Sean Burrows actually became a baseball player on a team in California. And, there's so many different other freedom writers who achieved, their dreams that we wrote down,
Nice.
as students. So
Yeah.
with Anne Frank, you mentioned that because that was one of the first books that she introduced us to. And that opened us up to the possibility of how writing is so cathartic to help you release such, pent up anxiety and the emotions that you might be going through, to help you be able to, really think. And so we were able to actually meet the actual real meat geese who hid Anne Frank, and had a conversation with her. And, the freedom writers did. Unfortunately, I was sick that day, but I heard about, I was I had asthma really bad coming from Louisiana to California, and all the smog hit me. And anyway, I was so bummed out, but, my classmates told me all about it. And just an amazing gift our teacher was able to give us to make a book come to life and really help dive into that.
Well, and talking about making a book come to life, right? The actual Freedom Writer Diary was filmed, right?
Yes.
How did that come along? Were you approached if they could make a movie out of it, or how did that go? And what was your reaction when you heard that they wanted to make a movie out of it?
Our reaction was we were amazed, flabbergasted. We were just feeling like we were just some kids, just in our community. But we had started to get a name for ourselves and become start to be in the news, because when Erin grew she took her class to see the movie Schindler's List, and this was a year before I entered high school. So they had already been on a Holocaust education type of thing, but those were seniors, so they were leaving. So when we came in, she was a student teacher, and then got her credentials, and she was an actual teacher with her first high school class. And so, as the Freedom Writers started to develop and we started sharing our stories with each other, we started to not only read a book, but actually dive into it, see how it applied to our life, and then go out into our community and try to make a difference. And that was the difference between our classroom, is that we went outside the classroom to go speak to elementary school students, to go, volunteer for organizations to help them, with their cause. And we became kind of known for just going out, and doing different things as a classroom. And it was just a regular classroom, kids coming together on their own time, doing something good in their neighborhood. And so that kind of became, awareness in our community. We got letters from prisoners, telling us how, the work that we're doing, they wish they had classmates like us. Maybe they wouldn't be in jail. And it just was so inspiring coming back and forth. And then finally we were in the Press Telegram and then the LA Times. And so it just became a snowball bigger than life until we were all of a sudden, I was sitting next to Richard LaGravenese, the writer. And, I didn't know who he was. I don't know why he was asking us all these questions, but we were going on lunches with him and he was following us to presentations we were doing, in libraries for junior high school students, and we're juniors and seniors in high school. And so after that moment, he really fell for our cause and fell for, the freedom riders and who we were as we were telling our stories to these younger kids to help them understand that, a lot of trauma, there was teachers that tried to teach our book that were fired, that principals kept the books in the basement of the school for 2 years and wouldn't release and distribute them, but they thought the information was too sensitive for kids to learn. But a lot of our trauma, a lot of things that happened before we even entered high school. So why not go up and reach those kids that probably have a household that might be like mine and help them to understand, you don't have to act out. You don't have to bully someone else. You don't have to, keep it inside. There's avenues for you to release your anger and still stay on track to graduate school, wherever you are. So it became bigger than life. And I don't know the intricacies of how, who Erin talked to or how she got approached. But all of a sudden, we were sitting there with a writer of a movie that, he wrote, what was the movie with, it was about it was a water crisis. Oh gosh, I can't remember her name. It'll come back to me though.
Yeah, sure.
But it was what is that movie called? It'll come back to me. I'll have to remember it, but it was really cool to have that. And then, it went through different movie studios, picking it up. And, once we were in college, they were at the point where they were trying to figure out who's going to play our teacher. And I think at one point they wanted Reese Witherspoon and all of these blonde bombshells. And our teacher was just like, that's just not me, and finally, Paramount Studios picked it up, and Hilary Swank became the lead role, and they took it from there. It was really cool because I guess a lot of the actors in the movie, they actually did all of the activities that we did in high school to kind of form their own bond and actually. Nice. So they did the line game, they did, the Fruit Loop bingo, they did, all these things that Erin did to get us to bond because we were so different. How do you get a shy girl like me to bond with the, most popular baseball player in school and get us to, connect and mentor each other? It's just,
Nice. It reminds me of a very old movie, I guess, The Breakfast Club. That's also, right?
Yes, it is.
Like kids teenagers from different backgrounds, coming together after school because they were under arrest, so to speak.
Yes.
And it's so, Tiffany, it's one of my favorite writers is actually Napoleon Hill from the best-selling book Think and Grow Rich. One of his quotes is, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve, right?
Yes.
And listening to you, for me, that's a perfect example of you're not doing something, you're doing something from a purpose, from an inner drive, without thinking, it just has to be done, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? It's not that you do it to get rewarded for it or to get paid for it. It's just something that drives you from within, and that's why it became so big. Because there wasn't there wasn't a marketing team behind it. There wasn't a reason that you want to make a profit out of it. You just felt it needed to be done. And your classmates had the same drive. And that's why I think that's the energy behind it that actually made it explode in a good sense, of course. So you also said that teaching financial literacy is very important for those people, right? That they know they are in control of their own lives and they can change it if they want to, right? So tell me a bit about your business on that, right? Because you're actually teaching people to become financial literacy now and know how they can take care of themselves. Because, like you said, I think after high school, after graduating, you were living from paycheck to paycheck until you knew you had to take more control of yourself, right?
Yes, absolutely. I always say, your pain is your purpose. A lot of people don't know, why am I here? What was the reason did I go through all these bad things? And if you take a step back and look at the lessons to be had, where your future is supposed to go, what path you're supposed to walk, we want the next generation to have a better life, a better existence than we did. And so whatever pain we went through, why not be an advocate to resolve that issue in the world, not just in your own life, but in the world. I think it's our responsibility to make sure that, they can grow up in households where domestic violence isn't even an issue, where hunger is not a factor, where, poverty doesn't exist. And if we can just all, work on whatever pain points that happened in life that made us hurt, what better world this could be, in 10, 20 years time. And so for me to think that my mom went through so much loving a man, and following him, to no matter where it went, she was gonna ride or die. And, to think that money was a factor in us not getting away as soon as we should, as soon as things really got bad, as soon as there was not even a stick of butter in the refrigerator for 6 people, as soon as, the first hand was laid on any child, she realized that he was a man and he brought food to the table, he brought resources. And so, that kept her behind. But if we can just open up our that knowledge of the financial world, financial education, start teaching when we're young. By the time we graduate high school, we know exactly what to do with our money. We know exactly how to pay ourselves first. We know exactly where to put our money, not just so it sits there under a mattress or even in the bank, but we have knowledge about where to put it so it grows and starts working for us and be there for us during every phase of life, during every emergency, during all the fun times. What's the point of trying to save for a vacation all year? You go to the beach because the beach is free, right? You gotta enjoy life and make it worthwhile. And so I'm a big advocate on, no matter what you do, what industry you work in, every dream has a price tag. No matter what house you want, what a nonprofit you want to fund, what hair you want to buy, and you want the good kind, it's going to cost. But what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve that dream? Most people, it's a reverse mentality in that they pay first and dream later. And so we have to dream and actually plan to have the resources to achieve the kind of life we want. And so financial literacy is so important for everyone to understand, whether you have a little money or a lot of money. You can have a 6-figure income, but not a 6-figure savings. That's the difference in lifestyle and mentality, right? And so, we have to understand the other factors that's involved when building wealth. Like, how does taxes have an effect on our income? How does inflation have an effect on our income? How do we make sure our estate planning is all in order and we can pass it on to the next generation? because this is actually the largest transfer of wealth that's going to happen in our lifetime. Is older people are passing down their wealth, but it's the knowledge there for those kids to make sure that that legacy is intact and transfers to the next generation and the next and the next. So we have a big goal. Our goal is to educate 30 million people by the year 2030 in the United States and Canada. We have 2.1 million already educated. And, I want to contribute 1,000. I want to contribute 5,000. I don't know how many I can contribute, but I know the law of large numbers. And if I could just reach people to help them understand that, it's not about the money. It's not about making the money, saving the money. It's what you get to do with the money to have the kind of quality of life that you want to live for yourself and your family.
Would you say, talking about that mindset is a very important part of the puzzle, a very important piece of the puzzle?
Yes.
I've heard stories of people that were lottery winners, right? And after a few months, they were worse than before they got the main prize, because they didn't know what to do with the money, right? What you said, it's not having the money, or it's what you do with it, right? And that's the most important part, I think. I'm still not, I don't know if it's a true story or that it has just been made up, but I heard a story of a woman who won millions in the lottery. And she had bought a very big house with a driveway, and she had like 6 supercars on the driveway, and she didn't even have a driving license. Right? Because, and that's the issue. If you don't know, if you have what they say, a poor man's mindset,
right,
you don't know what to do with the money. And I think that's what you said, whether or not maybe you're earning like $1,000 a month, or maybe $10,000 a month, or maybe $100,000 a month. If you're spending more than what's coming in, right? There's always a piece of the month left.
And if your income isn't rising with inflation, you're going to lose the money game. You're not going to be able to afford that gallon of milk, that carton of eggs. So your income has to rise. You have to make more money in order to afford life. Absolutely. Mindset is the biggest factor. But what you said is the knowledge. No, you have to know. And that knowledge, if you're not introduced to it, then you never know. My mom always said, when you know better, you do better. But a lot of people, they know better, but it goes in one ear and out the other, and they still don't take action. And that's the power in the knowledge is power. It's the taking action in the knowledge.
Exactly.
So you can have change.
It's applying the knowledge that counts.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is your mother still alive, Tiffany?
Yes, she is.
And how is she now? How is she looking at you? What you're doing?
My mom is very proud. She's actually my best friend and business partner. She was the first campaigner that I recruited for my financial literacy campaign. And she joined because I asked her, but she stayed because of the cause. She stayed because of the knowledge that we started to learn together. We went to these free workshops and we started to learn, how money works, how to protect our family, how to invest, how to save, how to, create an estate. And if we had not done that, I've been a campaigner for about 6 years. I knew nothing about, proper protection and long-term care. I knew none of those words fly around in our household. When we talk about money, it's arguing, fussing, and fighting, and you better go get it or don't come back kind of conversations, So we don't have positive conversations about money in a lot of our communities. But when we went to these classes, it was just such a breath of fresh air to be able to learn, what to do and how to go forward. And my mom went and got all of our family protection. My sisters, our nieces, nephews, everyone who would listen, we educated and we made sure that they were protected. And my baby sister was one of them. And she was going through, something in her lungs. We didn't know what it was. And when I joined the campaign, they were just trying to figure it out. And my mom got her $300,000 with long-term care. And if you don't know what long-term care is, is if you can't do 2 out of 6 daily habits of living, like feeding yourself, bathing yourself, using the bathroom, things like that. You can tap into long-term care, if it's a rider in your life insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister was approved because she didn't have that stamp in her chart that said you're diagnosed with this thing. But 4-5 months later, she went to Cedars-Sinai and new doctors, new tests, and they realized, what she had was a interstitial lung disease, and it was so rare, like 1% of the population had it. So if she had that diagnosis when we were trying to get her protection, she would have been denied. She would have never been approved for any kind of policy. And so, we waited. We had 3 different times, we were called for a lung transplant. And the first time was 11 p.m. at night. I was just about to pour my first glass of wine, and I got a call. I said, we got to go to Cedars-Sinai. So I had to scrap everything, go pick up my sister, rush to the theater, and the lung was too small. The next time, the lung was too scarred, I guess, in an accident. And the next time, it had hepatitis or something, and they didn't want to risk her transferring it to her.
Yeah.
And last May, she passed away. And in April, actually, in April, 10 days after her 39th birthday, and so we only have a window of opportunity to make sure we're protected in the right way when we're young and when we're healthy and before we even need it. And that is the message that I want to just relay to everyone, no matter who you are, having kids, just make sure your family is properly protected, because our life has been changed drastically in the last year. But, my mom was able to gift my brother, the business that he wanted to start up. She was able to send my niece off to Montana State University. And, when you're able to leave a legacy, you're able to level up your family and make sure that history doesn't repeat itself, in the poverty section, at least.
Yeah, and sorry to hear about your loss of your sister, but I think it's you learned a lot from it, right? About the importance of financial literacy. Make sure you have like a backup plan. Things never go like you planned. So, you already said that you went through the whole process with your mother, right? Which is, I think it's great to go through something like that with your mother, right? And it probably will strengthen the bond between the two of you. Do you remember? Do you have like an amazing story of a client that you actually helped making this big transformation in his or her life?
Absolutely. My sister, actually, so is you help your family first, and when we help our family first, we're able to, have that confidence that we did a good thing. Not only is everyone in my family is a part of my campaign. So, we actually just went to Thailand. We have go on a super trip every single year. And this is my 4th super trip. My mom and her sister, my mom's sister, I'm sorry. They hadn't connected since they were younger, and had a real relationship. Because my mom's sister is educated. She went in a good path. She has, all both her daughters are nurses and doctors. And, my mom went a whole different way with her man. And so they never really bonded and had a relationship. And so, we have been through a couple funerals in our family. And when anyone passes away, we're from Louisiana, it's always pass the bucket at church. And have a plate sale and, do drastic things just to, lay someone to rest. And my family always goes to my mom and my aunt because they make the most money in the family and they can, break off some change and help fund the funeral. So it had been happening a couple of times since me and my mom started this campaign. And, my aunt didn't really take it seriously until we invited her to our super trip last year in Portugal, Spain. And, she looked around and saw the families that were, happy and thriving and just, okay in life. And she said, if ever I went to a vacation with my family, they look at the menu and they look at the very bottom, the cheapest stuff. That's where we're living, But she saw these young families that were saying, "Hey, whatever you want. Hey, get whatever you want." But more importantly, she became on a mission with my mom to make sure our family in Louisiana was protected and Texas was protected. And they didn't have to receive those phone calls again if something happened that, they needed help. And so, she really took it seriously, and our family just business exploded. And now we're campaigning. We just did a foster care 5K run event and sharing financial literacy awareness, with everyone we meet. And now, I haven't seen my cousins since little and during birthday parties, but we're working together, campaigning together, and just having a family that I really missed when I was, moved away to California.
Yeah.
But my aunt is ready to retire. She works as soon as she wakes up, she's working, over 62. And so she has a plan for her retirement now. She has a plan for her daughters to know that if something happens to her, they're taken care of. And just to see that, she's structuring her life so that it passes down to the next generation. That's the gold standard for me,
Nice.
to bring someone to
Yeah.
this campaign.
Oh, nice. And one thing that came to mind when I heard your story, that you said, you want to help your family first and they're all on board, so to speak. Yet it's up to the persons themselves to want to change, right? I always say people want to change, but not to be changed.
Yes.
So it's you could almost compare it with religion, right? That you can be a true believer for a certain religion, but you can't change the other person into following the religion itself as well. And I think it's the same with people changing or transforming, that there should be an intrinsic motivation for them to want to change. So what's your biggest part of getting them to change? Is it creating awareness or lead by example, or what would you say is the driving force?
Well, it's really tapping into their pain points. You can't get someone to change until you know what's the problem and why is change necessary. And so a big part of, financial education is getting to know somebody, building a relationship so they trust you to kind of share, their issues in their household and invite you in to be able to say, I need some help here. I'm working day and night. I'm not seeing any difference. My family's growing and the money, there's no more money coming in. What should I do? And so, when you, and again, it's the mentality, it goes to mentality. And when you tap into that pain point, then you have to logically show them, this is some solutions to your problems. So, and if you follow these steps, and you're coachable, wow, can you see yourself? And then you paint a vision of what life could be like without all that bogged down pain and stress and turmoil and debt and yada, yada, yada. And they can breathe a little. When you see that spark in their eye, like, wow, that's what I've been wishing for. When you tap into what they've been wishing for, and you have a plan of action that's reasonable and affordable, and it's not, not something they have to stress about, then they can see that it's doable. And if it's doable, then they can make it happen. But they, again, like you said, they have to want to. I've been, like I said, a campaigner for 6 years. My aunt just took it seriously 2 years ago. So, it's all about following up and reminding and not giving up and showing them that you're there because you care first. You're there because, my aunt got her brother-in-law protection, and he's Muslim, and they like to be buried in a very, very specific way. And so she didn't know who to turn to, that would give knowledge, because we're in a financial world. We knew exactly how to navigate that process and connect her to someone who spoke their language and be able to handle that affair. And so, it's all about that knowledge.
Yeah, nice. And I remember at the beginning of our conversation, you told me that you were a shy girl, right?
Yes.
But while you're talking about what you're doing and how important financial literacy is, there's not that much of shyness to see.
Right. Because, I'm shy in social situations, but this is a must-do situation. So there's no room for shyness. There's no room for, being fearful of rejection, of someone being mad at you for calling them, or this is like life or death. This is literally life or death, because it's, what did someone say? I went to my office yesterday. This girl said, money's not everything, but if you don't have money, you can't buy nothing. And it's so true, but especially in our community, we keep, my Black community, that's what I mean, is, we have to come to a point where we unify and have a education about finances, so we're not dependent on anyone, and we can take care of ourselves. And we can, it doesn't matter how the world looks at us, it's how are we looking at ourselves, and how can we change our habits so that we're respectable, in society when it comes to taking care of our families and doing the right thing with our money.
Yeah. And it's also, when you're talking about those topics, it's not about you, right? It's about the other person, and you're there to help them. So there's no need to be shy, because the focus is not on you, right? It's on the other person. You honestly and generally want to help them.
If you're shy, their life won't change. If
Exactly.
you're shy, they're going to keep doing the same thing every year and expect different results. And we know that's insanity. So
Exactly.
we got to show them the way.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in, let's say, 5 years from now?
Well, I want to build an empire. I really do. But I want to build one where, it's a beacon of light for people to come to learn and change and build a better, future for themselves. I want to create, I want to be a philanthropist where I can build, houses for aging out foster kids to come and learn, about finances, or have a business opportunity and have a community where they don't have to worry about someone ever kicking them out of the house, or fending for themselves, or being in a position of hurt and pain. I want to do a lot, Erwin, but I see myself advocating for those who can't advocate for themselves, and putting resources into communities that never saw that before, and making change in people's souls so that they could have a good life. I want this world to be a better place, and that's my mission. And so if I can help people, understand about money, change not start from the inside and then go out, start from yourself in your household, build your community externally, and then the world at large. I think we can do it.
Oh, definitely. And you probably should have crossed the 25 million by then, right?
I think so too.
Wonderful. So, Tiffany, if you could share, well, you already shared a lot of golden nuggets as well. But if there was one piece of advice or a little piece of wisdom you would like to share with the audience, what would it be?
don't give up. We all, when you have a dream and you're so laser focused on achieving goals, life comes at you every which way. Life be life in us, we always say,
Yeah.
And don't give up. Autocorrect by, I still journal, and when we journal, you see your mindset in front of you, and it's not just in your head. And you can go back to those pages and be like, oh, I can't believe I was thinking like that. Okay, well, maybe next time I interact with that person, I'm gonna have a different, energy. Autocorrect all the time. I autocorrect, meaning that, don't look at life as a series of failures. Think of it as a series of lessons to get you to your goal. And,
Yeah, definitely.
And it's we want to help other people, but sometimes we have to be selfish. And when we want to achieve our dream, we have to realize that you can't help everybody if you can't help yourself first. You have to be able to be that lone ranger that's going off on its own, and then you can go back and pull everybody with you. But you have to walk that path by yourself, and that's the scary part. Is that your behaviors change, your attitude, your vocabulary changes, and people see you in a different light. But you can't let that deter you and sink back into their habits, because where are they going? It's gonna
Yeah, exactly.
20 years in the same situation, the same conversation, the same birthday parties, the same energy, of not having. And so if you want to be that lone ranger, you got to walk a lone path, but don't give up.
Yeah, wonderful. I love the part about actually learning from your lessons, right? And autocorrect.
Yes.
I love that, except when my phone does it, because it doesn't always autocorrect correctly.
No, it doesn't. We got to autocorrect the autocorrect.
Exactly. So, Tiffany, if people want to know more about you or connect with you, how can they do that?
You can go to my personal website, www.tiffanyjacobs.com. You can watch a little video about my freedom writer journey, some past interviews, even a video of me when I was on the Oprah Winfrey Show right after college. It was really cool. And then also there's an email and all my social media contacts are.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for sharing your story and teaching the audience as well about the importance of financial literacy and make sure that you know where your money goes and what you do with it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Thanks again. I wish you all the best. I know by experience that your dreams will come through, right? It's not a question if, it's just a matter of when, right?
Yeah.
And let's definitely stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time and your platform. I had an awesome conversation with you. I always say, know how money works so it can work for you, so you don't work forever.
I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to check out the other episodes, because each one is filled with interesting and inspiring stories and energy. Are you following your passion as well and make a good living out of it? Contact me and you could be my next guest. Would you like to follow your passion but are not there yet? Check out my website millionaireLifeStrategy.com and book an appointment to discover what I could do for you. Don't forget to share the podcast with your friends so that they get inspired as well.